Welcome
to the two travelers in Mexico.
Now, as we travel in Mexico, we were really worried about driving at night. We were really worried about driving off of the toll roads, and so we tried to follow that as we were traveling around. We don't drive very much. We try to be where we're going and make sure we're someplace before the sun sets. And again, I don't think the road itself or the people are that much more dangerous, but as you're driving, you will notice many, many cows, horses, goats grazing right along the edge of the road, within within 2 feet of where you're driving by.
Or little motorcycles, the little motorcycles even in the big roads.
And
they're driving right,
And so you would want to be there at night and have a cow step sideways and you hit it while you're driving down the freeway because you didn't see him. So that's would be, and the other one you'll learn.
Because that could damage your car.
That could damage the car as well as damage the cow.
Kill the cow.
And if you damage the car, if you killed the cow or made the cow broke, you would get sued for the cost of that cow.
Even though it's on the road.
Even though it's on the road.
Yeah.
You would be responsible for paying the farmer back for his cow,
or
his horse, or his donkey, or whatever was there. The other one one of the first signs you'll learn to appreciate is where it says topes, T-O-P-E-S. Those are speed bumps.
And are they always marked?
They're not. They're not always well marked. And
if you come across a big one at night, it might launch you into orbit.
and some of them are as tall. Like I said, some of the speed bumps are as tall as 6 to 8 inches tall.
Yeah.
And your car's barely scrapes bottom anyway, going over the top of them.
Yeah.
And you would not want to hit them at a speed that.
Oh no.
Because you didn't see them.
We've done it.
We have done it. We've hit our heads on the roof, and we've had things fly out of the back seat that shouldn't be flying in the back seat. Yeah. Unfortunately, it hasn't destroyed the car yet, but you do need to be. That would be the other reason, is because you wouldn't see it coming in the dark if it's not well marked. Even had it been well marked, teenagers in Mexico are probably not much different than teenagers in the United States. And so, just because there was a sign there yesterday doesn't mean some teenager didn't take it home and hang it on his wall last night.
Yeah.
And so there is that distinct possibility that yesterday when you drove down that road there was a tope sign, and today when you drove down the road the tope sign happened to be missing, and there's just a blank pole hanging there.
We get some like where they're that orangish, yellowish color, but then like you said, you hit some that aren't even marked before you know it.
Yeah.
You're up in the wow. It's like, I didn't see that one coming.
In Mexico, one of the nicknames for it is the dead policeman.
I've never heard that.
I don't either.
Or the sleeping policeman.
The sleeping policeman. Yes.
Because he's going to slow you down even if he's asleep. And it's just like if in the United States or any place else, if you're driving down the road and you see a police car parked on the side and you think he's got a radar gun, your first instinct is to look at your speedometer and make sure you're going slow enough that you're not going to get in trouble.
Do the same thing.
And those topes do that for you. They will wake you right up and make sure you slow down.
Yeah.
And so the nickname is the sleeping or the dead policeman, because their job is they will slow you down even if you sound asleep. And
wow. Yeah, and a lot of people talk about, like not to drive at night because of the cartels and stuff like that. And I don't know to what percentage that actually happens versus I think the animals on the road are more something to look out for, and I think the topes are something more to look out for.
Although the topes aren't so much on the toll roads.
The toll roads.
And if there is one coming up, it's typically before you come into town.
Into a toll station.
And it's like those
yellow,
like white
big yellow or white
things.
The rumble strips. A lot of places now in Mexico, as you're driving down, even some of the highways, but mostly the non-toll roads, you will see walkover passes. You can be guaranteed that there's probably a tope on either side of it.
Okay.
Because the tope was put in before the overpass was there because that's where a lot of people have a tendency to cross the road, and so they put the topes in originally to slow you down because that's an area where a lot of people cross. Well, now they've built a bridge over the road, and
but the tope
is still there. We live in Zachpu, and Mark Paulette lived here in Morelia, and we spent a lot of time in Morelia. We did not feel uncomfortable driving around Morelia at night.
Oh no, not at all.
We did not feel uncomfortable about driving around Zachpu. We have friends that live a little farther than what we want to walk on a normal basis that are about 2.5 miles on the other side of Zachpu. And we go over there and visit with them occasionally. And if we stay until 10 or 11 o'clock at night, we have no apprehension whatsoever about driving the 2.5 miles back across town to where we live. That part, just like walking the street in the evening, does not bother us. Yeah. So if you think, oh, I have to park my car before the sun sets and I'm never going to be in it in the dark, that's not necessarily true. You can if you need to run to the grocery store at 9 o'clock at night, you can hop in your car and drive to the local grocery store to pick up whatever you need at 9 o'clock at night, and nothing is going to happen. But you are going to have topes between you and the grocery store probably. Right. So you're going to drive slow and cautiously.
And I think when they talk about driving at night, I think it's like, like you guys are going to be going through Texas from here.
Yes.
You're going to pull into a town, somewhere, wherever that's going to be, San Luis Potosi or wherever, and then you're just going to stay there for the night because, that's, that's what I think a lot of people probably think of when they think of driving at night, like.
Right, we're not trying to do a marathon driving session where we're trying to drive 27 hours straight through and changing drivers and just maintaining a straight drive through. We will drive during daylight hours, and as we approach the evening, we will make sure that we have a place to stay lined up. And remember, even on the toll roads here, while they are built similarly to the U.S. interstate system, there are some potholes. There are some potholes. But they do a lot of maintenance on them and try to take care of them. But you will be stopping and paying a toll every 12 to 25 miles.
That's true.
Your rate of speed is probably not going to be 70 miles an hour. They are heavily patrolled by the Highway Patrol in Mexico, the state police.
And it is posted.
And it is posted what their speed limit is, which is usually about 120 kilometers per hour, I think, which is about 65 miles an hour, approximately. And they will pull you over if you're going more than 120 kilometers an hour, faster than the posted speed limit.
Now, I did when I was driving here because I wasn't sure, but I never got pulled over. I was going to ask you, you said that on your drive here, you accounted for your tolls, right?
Right.
So tell them how much you had figured that out to be. And you drove from where?
We coming in, we crossed the border from Arizona, and we crossed the Nogales.
Okay,
and
so
came
the same
in,
place we did.
And the same place you did.
Okay, and you guys, I think, came the same way we did.
Yes,
pretty close to the same way.
and Sonora and all that.
Yes.
Okay.
And we did pretty well, and I did have it, but now I got to pull
So
it back
he
up.
marked all of his complete tolls, what it ended up costing him. We thought about $200 US. We weren't
and
sure.
that is pretty close.
Yeah.
It was pretty close to about $200 to drive from the border to here.
Yeah.
It costs between here and San Miguel Allende, which is another city we visited, and we drove to. It was $18 in tolls each direction from San Miguel Allende to get there on the toll road.
Okay.
We've been to Guanajuato, another city we visited, and I think we spent $14 in tolls to get to Guanajuato.
Okay.
And so sometimes it might actually be cheaper to take the public bus.
Yeah.
Because their bus system here is very efficient.
Right.
And it runs
they're
on
nice,
and
they're
they're nice. They're better than airline seats. I can tell you that.
They are.
Well, most of them have USB hookups, so you can charge your cell phone. You have leg room. And they don't have a limit on the weight of your bag. So if your backpack weighs more than what an airplane would allow you to carry on or take with you, that's not going to be an issue
if you have 3 bags, they don't care.
On the bus.
Right. They'll just put it underneath the bus and give you a tag, you know, like a little ticket thing, and that's yours, and then they match it up to it when you go to collect your bag from underneath the bus. Now, let me ask you guys, because Mark and I talked about it in one of our videos before, the fact that the toll booths that aren't mandated by...
We did, as we're driving, we have ran across toll booths that were not manned by the federal toll workers and had been taken over or by
the farmers?
the local people in that area and they then want to collect the money for themselves rather than them going to the toll, and you will not get a receipt when you pay them. We did ask once why they had taken it over, and
now when that's happened to you guys, they have like the bucket, right?
They'll usually pull out a big orange cone or buckets and block the road that might do some serious damage to your car if you try to drive through it.
But do they tell you, do they say, you know, how much you have to pay, or do they just put the bucket and let you put out an amount? What have you experienced?
We have experienced both. A couple places in Sonora, they just held out the bucket, let you throw whatever change in there you wanted. We also hit places in Sinaloa that they demanded a certain amount of money.
Nayarit was one
and in Nayarit, we hit it both. They demanded a certain amount of money, but then the next time that it happened, again, it was back to we would like a donation, and they didn't demand a certain amount of money. They just asked for a donation. We've been given many explanations, which we don't know whether any of them are true or not. One we were told was that when they built the road, that the federal government had never paid the farmer for the land that the road ran through, and so this was his way of compensating for the fact that the federal government had taken over land that he owned to build a toll road through it, and he couldn't farm it, so he felt that he had, 3 days worth of tolls to collect each month to compensate for the fact that he wasn't making any money off the land anymore because now their car's driving on it.
Now, I heard, and I don't know whether it's true, I've heard that sometimes the locals will have the federal people that are there, whatever, that mandate it, leave. They'll tell them to get out.
Right. I mean, sometimes it is a kind of a hostile takeover of the toll booth. That the locals run the people off, threatening them, and then they may run the toll booth for the next 5 or 6 hours until federal authorities show up and kick them out and reinstall the federal toll takers. And but then the next morning it may happen again. But
tell them about the gas that I always you have.
And when you, as far as gas goes while you're traveling, there are quite a few gas stations, but there's not an exit off of that toll road or gas available on the toll road every 10 miles, which is fairly common in the United States, every 10 or 15 miles. And here they don't post it, no gas for the next 200 kilometers. And you may hit a stretch of road where there might be a toll booth, a couple of toll booths, but there are no gas stations or no exits for 200 kilometers. And so you do need to plan ahead that when you start to get to between a half and a quarter tank, and you see there's a gas station, it's time to fill up. And gas here is running 18.73 pesos per liter.
Which is?
So that's 80 cents per liter. And there's approximately 3.8 liters to the gallon. So about $3.40 per gallon of gas. And that is one thing you'll find in Mexico, is everywhere in Mexico the gas price is pretty much the same. Because it's a heavily regulated industry in Mexico and regulated by the government what they can charge for gas. Matter of fact, Pemex is owned by the Mexican government. So,
there's other, like Chevron is here, and some of the other gas stations are here too. But the gas is regulated by the government.
Isn't BP? Because I remember seeing a BP.
I think
there are some big British Petroleum.
Phillips.
And here you don't pump your own gas.
And here, you do not pump your own gas here. There is always an attendant that will pump your gas for you.
And I don't know when we usually go to the gas station, because we just got gas, last week I think it was?
Yeah, we went to the gas station last week. the thing is that it had been 7 months since we had gone to the gas station. Now,
Yeah.
we had,
That's how little we drive.
I mean, we were driving, you know, a little bit in the beginning before the COVID thing rolled
Right.
around. But even before that, Paulette and I took a lot of public transportation, buses, combis, and stuff like that. For a lot of the reasons that Glenn just mentioned, it's you don't have to pay for gas when you're riding the bus. You don't have to pay
Or
the
parking.
tolls.
Yeah,
The buses
the
are really
parking.
nice. You don't pay for parking. The public transportation system here is just fantastic from what we've seen.
Right.
You know, and if you were to add up your gas, the toll plazas, you know, if you have to pay for parking, it makes sense just to leave all the driving to the bus driver, kick back, take a nap, whatever, relax, listen to some music, watch a movie. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's my thing. Like if we travel somewhere, like even Mexico City from here is about 4 hours on the bus. You know, I don't know what that would cost us in tolls alone.
These guys will come and they'll change the tire for you. They will bring you a 4-liter can of gas. They will come and render whatever assistance they can beyond needing to be pulled up onto a tow truck and towed away. And once they give you the gas, once they change your tire for you, they will not accept any money, including a tip, because they are paid by the fact that you paid a toll. On toll roads, they always tell you to maintain and keep your toll ticket even after you've paid your toll.
Yes.
Because on the back of the toll ticket there's a phone number. And that toll ticket, as well as you've paid the toll to drive on the road, that toll ticket is actually roadside insurance for while you're driving. And that phone number, if you broke down, if you had a flat tire and you needed to have somebody change it, if you did run out of gas and needed somebody to bring you, you know, a 4-liter can of gas, you call that, use your cell phone and call that phone number. It's on the back of the ticket, and they will come and you tell them what kilometer marker you're at on where you're at, and when you ran them the toll ticket number, they would know which highway and which the closest toll booth was that you were to.
So that's one real important thing about staying on the toll roads.
And that is an advantage to staying on the toll road, because if you're out on just a federal highway that's between little towns, you did not pay a toll, so you did not have roadside insurance coverage for that road.
Right.
And then you'd be responsible, if you needed a tire change, to hire somebody in the next little village you hit to pay for your tire change. Again, another reason to not be on that highway
Right. Okay. So after
at 2 o'clock in the
dusk.
morning, because if you broke down, there is no roadside assistance
Right.
at 2
So
o'clock
at
in the morning.
dusk, that's a good time to
Then
get
you have
off
to
and
work.
find your place and whatever.
Google Maps is
Pretty handy.
every bit as accurate here as it is in the
And I think it
United
worked pretty
States.
much the whole time that we were driving here, if I remember correctly. I mean, do you remember losing
Yeah, there were
maybe a couple of
a couple of
spots?
times we lost
Okay.
reception, but again, we were on a toll road. We weren't going to be going anywhere else anyway, except the direction we were headed. So
Right.
The other thing that has really surprised and impressed me with how Google Maps work is every half of the streets in Morelia and Zacatepec are one-way streets. And one-way streets in Mexico are not always well marked which direction they're one way.
yeah,
And
For that, there are signs, but not always.
And so sometimes when you know you need to go 4 blocks this way and then 2 blocks to the left, doesn't mean you can just drive 4 streets up and then make a left-hand turn, because that might be a one-way street the other way. And Google Maps has been surprisingly accurate on one-way streets, on streets that I can't figure out which way the arrow should have been pointing if I could find the arrow.
right.
Yeah, because sometimes there's not a street, and there's not the sign that tells you if it's a one-way. So for me, and I don't know whether Glenn does it or not, but I'll look and see which way the cars are parking, because in the U.S., if it's usually going one way, the cars are parking that way.
It
But
doesn't work very well.
Not
so
here in
here in
Mexico.
Mexico.
Yeah, not here. It does not always work.
sometimes you'll find them, they're half are going one way, half are going the other, and so you really want to take that crossing slow, because you're not sure which way the cars are really going to be coming at you.
Yeah. They do have a point.
They do have a
one
0.5.
peso.
They have a 0.5 peso.
Right, but you don't want those coins either because they're tiny and more just a nuisance than anything else.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, do you guys ever use those?
Those are the. Anytime I get a bunch of them, I
Yeah.
carry them in a different pocket of
Uh-huh.
where everything else is. And the first person that offers to do anything, or and they do have homeless issues here where people beg on the side of the street. That's
most of the
worldwide.
time-
But most of the time, those people are willing to try to do something,
Wash
like
your
wash your
windows.
windows on your car,
Performing
Or-
little tricks.
or perform tricks or
Yeah.
something like that.
Juggling.
Jugglers will stand in front of your car when you're at a stoplight.
Even
and
a fire guy.
yeah, they'll dress up in native costume and dance
Yeah.
in front of you. And so all those when I get a whole bunch of those little coins that are half a peso, I got 10 of them. That's five. That's really 5 pesos,
Right.
which realistically is still only 20 cents. And
For this- for
that's
this
what
part.
I give the next juggler on the street corner.
Oh,
Is all those little coins.
Okay.
And you pull up to an intersection, you might be watching almost like a Ringling Brothers Farm and Bailey circus without the animals, of course, but
Right.
they have the jugglers and
Fire
they juggle
eaters.
things on fire, or fire eaters, and
And then usually
Stuff
you
like
have
that.
somebody that'll come by and put little chiclet containers
yeah,
on your
Oh, yeah.
side mirror.
yeah.
And then they have it timed just right at the light to know how many cars to put this on.
Mhm.
And then they'll come back asking you, do you
You
want to
wanna
buy
buy the
it?
ticket?
And if not, they just take it off your window and then they go back
Mm-hmm.
to the sidewalk because the light's turning green and wait for the next set.
If you like what we're doing, please subscribe, click the bell, whatever you would like to do, and Paulette has a routine that she usually does.
I already did. I went.
What she did.
There we go.
Yay!
Yay!